I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's popping guys, what's good? Another full card UFC prediction video to make. This one's going to be Josh Emmett taking on Ilia Topuria, and this is a good main event, a 14 fight UFC card, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't lose any matchups. Yeah, checking my bets for last week. Man, I've been on a bad run. The last two cards, they've not been kind. The CLD play, in hindsight, it wasn't good. The Sabatini submission or decision, this was good. And the Quinones one, I kind of feel unlucky on. And Ronnie Lawrence, to be honest, I feel lucky. But the week before, I had a no contest on Nasruddin. So yeah, for the last two cards, not been too good. But we look at the MoneyCity champions, the guys that smacked it. As always guys, if you see your name on the screen, you already know. That's money, pure money, let's go. And the best way to honour the MoneyCity champions, as always, we sparked the blunt for the champions, let's go. Keep dropping down your MoneyCity comments, and let's jump into the card. Alright guys, moving into the first matchup on this card, we've got Cody Brundage taking on Cedric Dumas. Now essentially this is going to be wrestler versus striker, Cody Brundage being the grappler, the wrestler, and Dumas being the striker. Now guys, when you look at Cody Brundage in his UFC debut against Nick Maximov, he did get quite tired. Then against Dalcha Langwambula, you know, this was very close to being a loss. You know, he was getting beat up. And then for some reason Dalcha goes for a takedown and Cody can get a Hail Mary win. Against Tresean Gore, this was a pretty good win for Cody Brundage. You know, just slept Tresean Gore. So yeah, that was good work. Against Michael Oleksiejczuk, he got dusted. And against Rodolfo Vieira, early on, it was looking good. You know, dropped Rodolfo Vieira, but got tired. Got taken to the mat, and we know that Rodolfo is a very, very good jiu-jitsu player. But Dumas on the flip side, you know, his UFC debut was not good. Against Josh Fremd, you know, he didn't want to get hit. He got hit a few times. And his takedown defense was also really bad. You know, eventually get submitted, I believe, in the second round. So yeah, Brundage is 8 wins, 4 losses as a professional, which isn't too good. And his UFC record is also not too good. And Dumas 0-1. So yeah, both of these guys, you know, they've got to put on a good performance. If you're Cody Brundage, you're going to do the same thing. And Dumas on the flip side, you know, he's got to show improvements with the takedown defense. His kicks are really good. If he can just kick Cody Brundage, his chances are good. But it's staying off the mat. And that's what Cody Brundage is going to try to bring. In my opinion, guys, I wouldn't really bet this fight because both of these guys are kind of unreliable. But if I had to, I would take Dumas. You know, he's big plus money. And I'm not saying just go with the underdog just to go with the underdog. His kicks are good. I do expect him to control the striking. You know, you've got to stay off the mat. And you know Cody Brundage is going to shoot. You know, he does that every single fight. I'll take Dumas, but no bet. Alright, moving into a matchup between Tatsuro Taira taking on Kleydson Rodrigues. Now guys, this is a good matchup because Tatsuro Taira, his grappling's good, his kicking's good, footwork's good, power, explosiveness, you know, he's quick. You look at all those things for Tatsuro Taira and you see a good fighter. But on the flip side, Kleydson Rodrigues, this guy's all about Muay Thai. And I know his debut performance against CJ Vergara was, you know, it was kind of bad. You know, taken to the mat. The grappling was kind of exposed for Kleydson Rodrigues. But then you look at his performance against Shannon Ross, you know, really dusted that opponent. Good money, quick money. Now here's going to be the problem for Kleydson Rodrigues. If CJ Vergara is able to implement his wrestling, you know, impose his grappling. If CJ Vergara can do that, so can Tatsuro Taira. And Taira is a better grappler. And how we know he's a better grappler is because Tatsuro Taira went and submitted CJ Vergara. So a little bit of MMA math to be played here, and we know that MMA math isn't like the best way to cap fights, and I do believe it's going to show. You know, Tatsuro Taira's grappling is much better than CJ Vergara's. His jiu-jitsu's good, his wrestling's good, the kicking's good, and even his post-fight interviews, you know, they're pretty funny. So yeah, give me Tatsuro Taira to win this matchup. Alright, moving into a matchup between Jamall Emmers taking on Jack Jenkins. And this is a good matchup. Now, Jack Jenkins did make me some money on the Contender Series. And he also made me some money in his UFC debut. Jack Jenkins is, you know, he's good. His striking's good. good low kicks, calf kicks. He's also got some good power. Now, you look at the grappling of Jack Jenkins, which he did display on the Contender, and he also used his grappling in his UFC debut. Guys, in my opinion, Dana White and the UFC doesn't really want to see Jack Jenkins using the wrestling, using the grappling. You know, Dana White even said after the Contender Series performance, you know, he didn't want to see all that grappling. So now Jack Jenkins has an opponent where the grappling's going to be difficult. You know, Jamall Emmers, he can wrestle, he can grapple. And I know that Pat Sabatini completely dusted Jamall Emmers, but he came back from that, you know, looked really good against the fake Russian Askabov. So yeah, guys, I think this fight is going to be a good fight. And I think Jack Jenkins as the underdog play is probably the bet to make if you're going to bet on this matchup. And that's not to say that Jamall Emmers is bad. I just think at minus 180, minus 190 I think he is. It's a little bit overpriced. Alright, moving into a matchup between Trevor Peek taking on Chepe Mariscal. Now guys, this matchup in my opinion is kind of similar to Manuel Torres and Nicholas Motta. You know, it's similar in the sense that there's going to be violence. You know, this fight is not going to go 15 minutes. And that's because when you look at Trevor Peek, you know, this guy's going 0 to 100. You know, he's not wasting a whole lot of time making reads on the opponent, setting himself into the fight, taking his time. He's not doing any of that. Trevor Peek is just going 0 to 100. And if it works out, good. If it doesn't, he's entertaining. So kind of win-win for Trevor Peek. And he's never lost. So I say win-win. It's only been win for Trevor Peek. He's 8-0. He's in the UFC. Everyone likes his style. He's aggressive. But guys, the flip side of Trevor Peek, like the downside is when you go 0 to 100, you're not pacing yourself. You know, you're not reserving energy. You're not looking at your energy expenditure. And obviously that's quite a dangerous thing to do. Because if you get tired, there's no round one stoppage. There's a good chance you're going to get stopped. Now on the flip side, Mariscal is very, very aggressive. And that's why I say this matchup isn't going to go 15 minutes. In my opinion, the best bet would be like under 2.5 or under 1.5 or fight doesn't go the distance. But in terms of making a prediction, in a gunfight, in a western, I'll take Trevor Peek. Alright, moving into a matchup between Zhalgas Zhumagulov taking on Joshua Van. Now, Zhalgas Zhumagulov was originally supposed to fight, who was it? Originally he was supposed to fight Rafael Estevam, and then he was supposed to fight Felipe Bunes, and now he's supposed to fight Joshua Van. So yeah, Zhalgas Zhumagulov, man, the opponent just keeps getting changed. You know, and if he does go 15 minutes, as we spoke about recently, he just gets robbed. So yeah, this one is a little bit difficult because Joshua Van's got a considerable advantage when it comes to age. You know, he's only 21 years old. Now, typically, I would pay more attention to the age difference with this matchup, but Joshua Van is very inexperienced, you know, only 8 professional fights. So if he goes in there and shows his speed, shows his footwork, shows his boxing, can drop Zhalgas, you know, get a nice win on short notice, if he does that, all the credit. You know, that would be a good way to put some stock in your name. You know, getting a nice win against Zhalgas Zhumagulov, that would be good. But yeah, this is a matchup where I do hope Zhalgas wins, and he just kind of shows his experience, you know, show the calf kick, show the wrestling, and he's also prepared for this matchup, whereas Joshua Van hasn't. So yeah, give me Zhalgas to win this matchup. Alright guys, moving into a matchup between Tabatha Ricci taking on Gillian Robertson. Now this is going to be grappler versus grappler, jiu-jitsu player versus jiu-jitsu player. You know, both these girls are all about the ground game. They're not really strikers, but if you look at Gillian's striking compared to Tabatha Ricci's, there is a difference. You know, if you just watch Gillian throw her boxing, just throw the hands, you can see that it's kind of non-existent. You know, it's really not on the level that it needs to be. And I say that just because the fighters are looking to make themselves more well-rounded. You know, Gillian is a jiu-jitsu player, but she's looking to make her striking better, fight to fight. Now, Tabatha Ricci is a black belt just like Gillian, but she's also a black belt in judo. So if both of these girls clinch up, You know, I do expect Ricci to control those positions, you know, to kind of throw Gillian to the mat if she really wants to do that. And I say that because if Ricci does want to grapple with Gillian, if she wants to play the jiu-jitsu game, she could do that. You know, her grappling is very good. I think some people who aren't as familiar with Tabatha Ricci would think if she wins this matchup, it's probably striking, you know, avoid the mat. But in this situation, it's not going to be that, in my opinion, because Ricci is a grappler. She's a very good jiu-jitsu player. And if that's going to be the case, then really I'm going to look at who's more well-rounded, because both girls have really good grappling. And guys, in my opinion, when we look at who's more well-rounded, I think the Muay Thai kicks of Ricci are better. I think her boxing is better. I think she's a good judo practitioner and also a good jiu-jitsu player. So yeah, I do believe Tabatha Ricci is more well-rounded than Gillian Robertson, and for those reasons my pick will be Ricci to win this matchup. Alright, moving into a matchup between Rabecki taking on Loik Radzhabov. Now guys, for some reason I do believe this matchup is not going to go the distance, and I also believe both of these guys are going to get pretty tired. And the reason why I believe that is because if you look at Rabecki in his UFC debut, he just went 0 to 100. You know, starts throwing the kitchen sink in every single punch. And if you look at Loik Radzhabov, who didn't do that against his opponent, Ribas, he didn't do that, but he did use his wrestling. And the wrestling kind of fatigued him a little bit. And you've even seen that in fights prior to his fight with Ribas. So I do believe this matchup is going to be quite interesting to watch, because Rabecki, he's got good jiu-jitsu, but he's going to throw heat on the feet. And on the flip side, you've got Radzhabov, who's probably going to be able to compete with Rabecki in the grappling, because Radzhabov's grappling is also very good. But it's going to be interesting because he does fatigue. You know, on paper, this matchup doesn't look too good, but I think when they get to the cage and this matchup starts to unfold, you know, I think this matchup is going to be exciting. My prediction with this matchup is going to be Rabecki. I'm going to side with Rabecki, but I'd rather advise betting on an under. So yeah, look for the under 2.5 or under 1.5 if it's a good price. It's going to be a safer pick, a safer bet than actually betting on a money line with this matchup. Alright, moving into a matchup between Randy Brown taking on Wellington Turman, and this is a good fight. It's a good fight because Wellington Turman is going to be stepping down to 170. He's going down to welterweight. You know, that's going to be interesting. And this is not an easy debut for Wellington. You know, Randy Brown is good. He's slick. His boxing is pretty good. His kicks are good. His speed, his technique, his management of range. Now, I know you could look at his most recent fight and say, well, his management of range is not that good because JDM just dusted him. You know, you could say that. But the truth is, JDM is a very good boxer. And he was kept at the end of the range right until he decided, you know, I'm going to press Randy Brown. I'm gonna force the action. We know that Wellington is primarily a jiu-jitsu player. You know, he's not a slick striker. I mean, even Andrew Sanchez was able to sleep Wellington Turman, which kind of says it all. So yeah, Wellington Turman's going to be stepping down to 170, where he's not going to have the striking advantage. He's not going to be quicker. He's not going to be used to competing at 170. So yeah, I think this fight for Wellington is pretty difficult. But then again, if he can get Randy Brown to the mat and start to impose his jiu-jitsu, if he can do that, then that's obviously the real path to victory for Wellington. But yeah, guys, for me, I'm going to side with Randy Brown. I went against him with JDM, and before that, he was cashing me some tickets. I think, you know, just avoid the mat against Wellington. And also, you got to understand that Wellington's dropping more weight. You know, so really look to land the jab. Look to land the 1-2. I think he could get a stoppage against Wellington. So yeah, give me Randy Brown to bounce back and to win this matchup. Alright guys, moving into a matchup between Magny taking on Philip Rowe. Now, if you go rewatch Philip Rowe in his most recent fight against Niko Price, this was fun. This was a fun fight. Essentially a mad fight where Philip Rowe looked good early in the fight, but then got tired. You know, very tired late in that fight. And then Niko Price nearly stops Philip Rowe. Somehow Philip Rowe stays in the fight, then comes back and finishes Niko Price. So yeah, just a mad fight. But essentially, Philip Rowe is a striker. You know, his grappling's not bad. I wouldn't exactly say his grappling's going to be a danger for Magny. You know, he's probably got a TKO nil. He's probably got to stay on the feet, look to use the boxing, and look to really hurt the opponent. Now, the problem with that is Neil Magny's got a lot of experience, like way more experience than Philip Rowe. And because of the experience difference, it's going to be quite difficult for Philip Rowe to win this matchup. You know, Neil Magny's output is very good. Also, Neil Magny's grappling is, you know, kind of the same as Philip Rowe, where it's not great, but it's definitely not bad. I think he could push Philip Rowe against the fence, similar to Cody. Even Cody done that. You know, 1 round 1, just pushing Philip against the fence, and then went on to get dusted in the second round. But Neil Magny's cardio is very good, and his output's good. So yeah, I do believe this matchup is quite difficult for Philip Rowe, the underdog. And because of all those reasons, my pick will be the veteran Neil Magny to win this matchup. As always, my homies, if you waited to smoke with me, that's an amen. If you've been smoking this whole time, that's a double amen. If you ain't a smoker but you enjoy the smoke breaks, that's always been a triple amen, gang. Let's go. Guys, can we all agree that it's absolute insanity that Joaquim Silva actually nearly cashed his TKO prop? Guys, come on. Tell me that wasn't crazy. That was just insane. Like, respect to Arman Tsarukyan for being able to get a takedown when he was rocked. But man, that moment had me putting down the blunt and just questioning everything I know about mixed martial arts. And guys, just how tough is Marvin Vettori, and just how good is Jared Cannonier at nearly 40. My goodness. Round 1 was good for Marvin, but for the next 20 minutes, real beatdown, dusted. Alright guys, let's go. Alright guys, moving into a matchup between Brendan Allen taking on Bruno Silva. Now this is quite an interesting pick to make, because Bruno Silva, I'm confused by Bruno Silva. You look at Silva against GM3, he really struggled to find the kill shot, you know, couldn't find the chin of GM3. But guys, then he goes in there against somebody who's a better striker than GM3, and he completely dusts Brad Tavares, so I'm kind of confused with Bruno Silva. And on the flip side, we look at Brendan Allen, who is a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. His grappling is very good. And you see that recently against, who do you see that? Andre Muniz, who got tired, got choked out. Against Krzysztof Jotko, also got submitted. And guys, Brendan Allen is low-key moving up the rankings. He's had 11 UFC fights, and 9 of them are wins, which is a pretty good record. Bruno Silva's a wild man, and sometimes that works. But Brendan Allen has good jiu-jitsu, his body kicks are pretty good. His striking defense at times is kind of questionable, but look at his UFC record. Like I said, 11 fights, 9 wins. So yeah guys, for me, I'm going to side with the American. I'm going to side with Brendan Allen to beat Bruno Silva, even though it's kinda a sweaty matchup. Alright guys, moving into a matchup between David Onama taking on Gabriel Santos. Now guys, this is a matchup where I don't see it going 15 minutes. And the reason for that is Gabriel Santos is super aggressive, and so is David Onama. Both of these guys can find stoppages. And to be honest guys, I was impressed with Santos against Lerone Murphy. Like, he done well in that matchup. And I know that because when I bet on Lerone Murphy, after 15 minutes, I was kind of convinced that Santos won that fight. But maybe I was just super stoned and I was impressed with the underdog. But yeah, Santos, he looked good. You know, his grappling looked good. His takedowns were good. His kicks, his punches, the aggression, the cardio. It was all good work from Santos. And on the flip side, the opponent, David Onama. We know that David Onama is going to throw down. You know, he's been in some crazy wars already. Against Mason Jones, that was a firefight. Against Nate Landwehr, another firefight. And now he's got an opponent in Gabriel Santos who's super aggressive. So again, I do see a firefight. And more than likely, this matchup wouldn't go 15 minutes. So it's kinda risky to bet. You know, is David Onama going to find a big kill shot? Or is Santos going to break him, round in, round out? Guys, in my opinion, it's going to be a risky fight to bet. I'm going to side with Santos because I was impressed with Santos in his UFC debut. But yeah, another matchup where maybe the under 2.5 or under 1.5 would be a better bet than picking a side. Moving into our matchup between Justin Tafa taking on Austin Lane. Now this is going to be low level heavyweight action, right? Justin Tafa is coming off a really nice KO win against Parker Porter, where essentially Parker Porter just lunged himself straight into a kill shot. Now some people that week were picking Parker as an underdog purely because if he got Tafa to the mat, that was his advantage. Now that could be a way for Austin Lane to potentially beat Justin Tafa, you know, getting him to the mat. Now guys, Justin Tafa's like a Mark Hunt. You know what I'm saying? He's all about the walk-off KO. The output's not super high. He's just looking for kill shots. So if Austin Lane puts himself into a position to get kill shotted, then it might happen. And obviously Parker Porter showed what you shouldn't do. You know, don't be lunging forward. Austin Lane is going to be more composed, in my opinion. And the best way to fight Justin Tafa would be to like push him against the fence, keep him at the end of your kicks, use some good footwork, use good output, but don't overextend. And also if you can get Justin Tafa to the mat, that's going to be a way to win. Guys, in my opinion, low level heavyweight action, stay away or take the underdog. I'm going to side with Austin Lane at plus money. Alright guys, moving into the co-main event, we've got Amanda Ribas taking on Maycee Barber. Now guys, I took Andrea Lee as a big underdog against Maycee Barber, and I do believe she got robbed. I took Miranda Maverick as like a minus 140 or so in play, and I believe she got robbed against Maycee Barber. I think if we're looking at who's technically better, I think the answer would be Amanda Ribas. You know, Amanda Ribas has excellent jiu-jitsu. In my opinion, the striking of Amanda Ribas is going to be better than Maycee Barber's. But guys, you got to remember with women's mixed martial arts, it is very volatile. And although we can make the opinion that Maycee Barber lost close fights and Ribas is better, although we can make those opinions, we do have to be logical and agree that the physicality can sometimes outweigh the technicality in women's mixed martial arts. And I think Maycee Barber being close to plus 200, I've got to advise it. And that's coming from someone that took Lee as a big dog and she got robbed. I took Maverick, she got robbed. I'm not a big fan of Maycee Barber, but I just think the line is getting too wide. So yeah, dog or pass, my pick is Barber. I just think she can be physical against Amanda Ribas. And even if the striking's close, Maycee's got power. You know, this matchup could be closer than what the betting line is saying. So yeah, I'll side with the dog. Alright, moving into the main event, we've got Ilia Topuria taking on Josh Emmett. This is going to be a good main event. And it's a good main event because Josh Emmett has been around for a while. You know, he's an OG. And he's got big knockout power. Specifically, the overhand is the main weapon for Josh Emmett. If he can connect with the overhand, there's a good chance he can sleep you. However guys, Josh Emmett's like 38 years old and he's getting towards the end of his UFC career. So guys, in my opinion, if Josh Emmett is going to find a way to win, I think it's going to be either round 1 or round 2. Outside of round 2, outside of 10 minutes, I think he's going to really start to fatigue. Being in there with a really hungry mixed martial artist who's on the climb, Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Excellent wrestling. His boxing is very good. You know, when he gets on the inside and rips the hooks, you know, lets the hooks fly. The hooks are real fight enders for Ilia Topuria. His grappling's good, his boxing's good, he's powerful. So really guys, I do believe it's a very difficult matchup for Josh Emmett at this point in his UFC career. You know, if it's not a round 1 stoppage, if it's not a round 2 stoppage, I really don't see him being able to win this matchup. If we're going to look at the career of Ilia Topuria so far in the UFC, he did get head kicked by Jai Herbert. But Josh Emmett is not going to kick Ilia Topuria in the head. Josh Emmett wants to land a powerful hook or an overhand right. He's looking to end the fight with those techniques. But outside of round 2, outside of trying that for 10 minutes, I think Ilia Topuria is probably going to stop Josh Emmett. So my prediction with this matchup, I'm going to side with Ilia Topuria. I think he's going to dust Josh Emmett. So that's my pick. As always guys, drop down your main event prediction, your co-main event, your MoneyCity plays, underdog plays, all that good stuff. Drop it down below. And as always, keep your eyes to the sky and never glued to your shoes. Peace.